Hello. Why would a psychological illusionist want anything to do with a teenager's theme park?
Does this psychological illusionist have a fascination with trains?
How did one of the most anticipated scary ghost rides in the UK turn into an IT flop? Hi guys, you might be thinking, Louie, you actually look quite pale next to that guy. And I do. And if you're also wondering who's that guy, in one word...
Husband.
Jack, do you know a lot about the subject today, Derren Brown's ghost train?
I don't know a lot, but I've been on it once.
Do you know a lot about Derren Brown?
We've actually seen Derren Brown. But again, only once.
I've seen him twice. Do you know a lot about Derren Brown?
Yes.
That's why Jack's going to be here as our special expert on Derren Brown and technology. And what's your credibility on those two subjects?
I've seen Derren Brown, and I use technology.
Derren Brown's ghost train. Choo choo. Thorpe Park spent £13 million on a quite ambitious ride project, which they called Project Whitechapel. Did you know that? You know we've got secret weapons in Alton Towers. Project Whitechapel, what could be the significance behind that?
I wonder.
Well,
I don't know what the significance...
And that's from our Derren Brown expert.
What is the significance?
I'm not telling you.
Only 13 million?
What do you mean, only 13 million? That's a stupid amount to spend on what the ride actually is.
Yeah, I'm misremembering it.
Close your eyes. Hiya, if you're new here and you like crazy chaotic videos, remember to subscribe. Thank you so much. Derren Brown's ghost train had a lot of interesting marketing. Using the words cutting edge technology in your marketing is quite a bold move when you see what this ride actually is. And tying it to a sort of infamous illusionist who crosses the borders of what's kind of deemed acceptable in boundaries for human beings, and using him as an IP could have only meant that this was going to be an insane ride. The whole goal was for it to be a twist on ghost trains. And when you think of ghost trains, what do you think of? You can wake up now.
Fear. Scary Halloweeny fear.
I think of tacky skeletons dangling in Blackpool on a tiny little two-seater train with a little bit of a drop. And if you're going to Hull Fair, sometimes the ride operators start the ride, jump on the back, caress your hair all the way around the ride and get off. They do. They genuinely do. It is so good. And you can pay for the privilege. So when I heard Derren Brown is going to be doing a ghost train, I was like, who's Derren Brown? Don't you mean Derren Brown? I'm not joking, I didn't know who he was. Darren Yates.
Did Derren Brown make sense to you, but Derren Brown not?
Well, Darren's not a real name.
True.
But it's all part of the illusion, isn't it? I reckon he's going to come out in like 20 years and be like, look guys, fooled you all. And that's a pattern of Derren Brown's illusions and things that he does for television, which is he will even trick the viewer into being part of like a trick. He describes himself as a mentalist. I'm a bit of a mentalist. Illusionist and writer, or a psychological illusionist. In 2000, he debuted with something called Mind Control. Here he is. Oh, that's him. And yes, he used to have hair. Derren shocks a group of models by knowing their favourite chat-up lines. Derren, you player. Oh my gosh! The ghost train! The ghost train! Which was Channel 4, so, you know, hit or miss. Seemed to have gone well for Derren Brown. So his stunts blurred the lines between illusion and reality, apparently. Have you ever seen any of Derren Brown's stunts?
I have seen a few of them.
On television?
On television, yes, I have. I've seen him convince people that they are trapped inside of a real-life video game. Or arcade. I think it was an arcade machine.
Yeah, the zombies. He has lots of things like that where he's made people like actually go as far as want to murder people. But there's often been like a political reason behind doing his stunts. One thing that actually he does do a lot of is trying to disprove like spirituality and things like faith healing. He loves to demonstrate the outcomes of those kind of events. Himself claimed that none of it's spiritual and all of it's entirely a psychological trick.
Of these major miracles are created by allowing the audience to be misled about the extent of someone's real condition, then presenting things they can already do as evidence of change when actually they're just the same as they were before.
So he has a little bit of controversy behind him, but I was so interested in Derren Brown because of Thorpe Park. I didn't know about Derren Brown before this. I was more interested in the theme park. I ended up going to see one of his shows in Blackpool with one of my best friends, Phoebe Jean, and I was like mind blown, and it actually really freaked me out. A lot of it made me feel really dirty. Ew. Not because it was dirty. It could have just been because it was Blackpool, but I did think that, like, oh my gosh, I've never not been in control of my mind that I know of. So mentalist. But yeah, I thought it was really like fascinating. And eventually my husband, when I met him, treated me to see one of his shows again. So the original one was a secret that I saw, and we went to see the other one in London, and it was incredible. And I think we don't even know if we were hypnotised or not, because a lot of what he says to the audience is a lie, making him sound like a bad guy. He's just very, very clever magician, basically. Very clever. So yeah, what sets him apart apparently is just his rejection of supernatural claims. You get a lot of magicians who are like, ooh, and I'm gonna hocus pocus and it's gonna disappear. The mic's gone. I'm gonna make Jack disappear into a cloud of smoke. Bang! Wormy? But yeah, Derren Brown liked to claim that it was all under his control. All of the illusions and magic stuff that he got people to do and the control he put human beings under. None of it was spiritual as much as it freaked out the church. It was just Derren Brown mucking about on Channel 4. A lot of his career then led to debunking spiritual and supernatural claims, and he was mates with Richard Dawkins. What do you think of Richard Dawkins?
Ooh.
Hey, no, we love him.
We love Richard Dawkins, but he doesn't share the same worldview as Louise and I.
No. Derren Brown, actually, when I got fascinated with Derren Brown, it made me question a lot about my own worldview. Ultimately made me very existential and depressed. Thankfully, I am now a Christian, and I still love Derren Brown. I think he's a genius, but he was an interesting choice for Thorpe Park to pick as an IP because, again, who is he? And 2,
what does he have to do with the price of train tickets?
And 3, isn't it Darren? Oh, speaking of prices of train tickets, Wormy, here's a fun fact you might like.
I eagerly wait in anticipation.
Thorpe Park, when Derren Brown's ghost train was going to open, ran a get in for a bob scheme, which meant they're looking at me, they're calling me Bob. Which means, so they let 1,871 people in for the price of a bob, which was a shilling, a Victorian shilling. So 5p people could get into Thorpe Park for. And what's the price now? I'll put it up here. But technical issues meant that But technical issues meant that couldn't actually happen, which became a common issue, didn't it?
Yeah.
For Derren Brown's ghost train. Do you know what else happened?
No.
Okay.
Why have I been brought on as the expert here?
So anyone who entered into the Get In for a Bob campaign was entered into a raffle for 4,000 tickets priced at 12 pence. Oh my gosh! Wait, are you a channel member? Well, if you're James Smiles, Dan Frowns, or Rollercoaster Sam, then yes you are. And thank you guys so much for supporting it. It's so generous of you. Big shout out to these guys. And if you want to support Luweepoo channel, just being subscribed and liking and commenting is more than enough. So thank you anyway. Or sharing the videos around. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. So what was actually going to be featured in the ride then? How on earth could they combine a mentalist with a ride? Do you remember what happened in the ride? We rode it together when it was Rise of the Demon. We wouldn't ride that now, would we? No, we wouldn't. No. We'd ride Rise of God's Kingdom, more like.
Welcome Jesus.
What do you think of the ride?
Well, it has been 3 years since I've been on it.
What do you actually remember of it other than the cattle pens and the 1 hour queue?
Not a lot of it, actually. It wasn't that memorable at all, the ride, as an experience. I do remember there being some questionably hygienic VR headsets, being surprised by the exit in the gift store. I think that's about it.
So clearly, this was a very popular ride that people were itching to get back on and re-ride over and over again at Thorpe Park.
Am I your correct target audience?
No.
I just wanted to say this video ended up seeming really negative towards Thorpe Park and towards Derren Brown's Ghost Train, which I think is actually quite unfair to Thorpe Park, as I do actually really like this ride. I like when parks try to do something unique and something different and invest into new parts of the park and something completely different to roller coasters, but that definitely doesn't seem to be reflected here in this video, so I'm sorry. It's a character I play where I'm complaining, but after editing it does seem quite negative. So anyway, with all of that ranting in mind, I hope you still managed to enjoy this video.
What's going on down there?
Kissing!
For those interested in timelines, planning applications were in 2014. Construction started in 2015. And when was it meant to open?
2016.
Yeah, except it was delayed because there were technical issues. So it's actually described that when it was built, they wanted to build a warehouse with a warehouse theme. That's nice, isn't it? Immersive.
I like a good warehouse.
So that would have been easy to theme. And it was 2,306 square meters.
That's big.
And here's a fun fact. There was actually meant to be a watchtower in the entrance plaza, but that was never even built in the end.
I don't remember seeing one.
It's because it wasn't actually built in the end. So here is another thing that I would like to know, because Jack is sort of, he's a GP. Ooh, I know. But we're married. So he comes to theme parks with me. And actually one of our first dates was going to Thorpe Park Fright Nights. And that's when we rode Derren Brown's Ghost Train. Can you remember what the theme was?
Was there still Love Island theming around?
Oh, man. So it's a Victorian train station. But weirdly, when you go in, there's like a magical illusion talk from Derren Brown. You start off outside, you're made to think you're going like into a train station. Then you go in and then you're clearly being told that you're going to be scared by the guy who's planned this ride. Then you go in and it's just like a tube train, so not very Victorian. And then you see VR headsets, so very 21st century. Then you sit down and the people sat opposite you in the VR headset are all very modern. And then you come out and there's like zombies, so that's not even real life that I know of. Unless you go to Blackpool. Then you come out and leave and there's a gift shop that's sort of themed back to the Victorian train station, and it was all very odd. It was a very odd experience, and I will admit that when you're in the VR moment, it really did scare me until the end, where you're like thrown into a little tunnel and you fall down and you're like, oh, that was quite underwhelming. So now you know what happens on the ride. I don't get the theming, I'll be honest. This is a theme park channel, so we have to comment on the theming. I don't get it. I do not get it. And the demon one was a rebrand of the original one. So by rebrand, we mean that the script changed a little bit from the actors, the human beings that were helping you get set up on your VR headset, and the actual video was slightly different.
Perhaps it was as a result of the bad theming that I don't seem to have a memory, like a cohesive memory of the experience. I remember putting on a headset. I remember thinking, ew, this headset is dirty. And then I remember thinking, oh no, this headset's out of focus. And I think that was the summary of my ride on Derren Brown's Ghost Train.
Well, in the lead up to it being open, though, there was a lot of suspense. Before they'd even announced that Derren Brown was going to be involved in this ride, they had a website called Minds Wanted that had loads of cryptic clues that you could solve to figure out something about the ride.
Ta-da! There he is with his brain. Mind gap. Derren Brown's keeping a secret. Oh! What's this? Oh, that's disgusting. Oh my gosh! This is disgusting. Derren. He's got a bit of hair there. Oh no. Look, but they've got some nice photos for the archive here. That's a nice one, isn't it? There's a good one there.
And then in 2016, in January, it was actually revealed it's going to be Derren Brown's Ghost Train. And again, who's that? Oh, this is what's dodgy when they use like strong language like this. I don't know if it's just because I'm cynical and like a pessimist, but I'd much rather them say this is going to be an alright experience. Like it probably will scare a few people, but to be honest, it's just a bit of a filler attraction. I'd rather them say that than be like, this is a revolutionary combination of elements never seen before in a theme park. Mirrors and actors and VR. Do you remember your VR headset not working as well? That might be why it was so bad for you.
I remember it being loose, with no opportunity to adjust it, and I think the lenses were covered in like face grease. I couldn't see a thing through it.
Right, and a lot of the time the VR headsets weren't working. With your knowledge on technology, could you explain why that was?
I think VR headsets are intended to be like customized for each person. So there's something called IPD, which I think stands for interpupil distance, which is the distance measured from the center of each of your eyes. The headsets, I think, at Thorpe Park must have been configured to whatever the average human IPD is.
I don't have that.
But if your eyes are out here or in here, it will lead to a really out of focus experience, and I imagine it would be quite disorientating and dizzying. So that's just one of the things, but everyone has different head sizes as well.
Can we line our eyes up to see if they're the same? And now this one is mild. Look how much wider my eyes are.
My nose was over here.
And look how far out my pupil is over here.
We've got the calipers.
Guys, I am fish-eyed. I look like the guys from Fish Life. Fished away. Shark Tale. Merlin Magic Making had some involvement in this. If you don't know who Merlin Magic Making is, they're basically the creative division of Merlin Entertainments, who own Thorpe Park and Alton Towers and the other parks we don't care about. There were other specialist companies like SimWorks, spelt with an X, so you know they're futuristic. They helped with the setup of the VR thing. And what was special about these particular VR headsets, particularly this brand?
So they used the HTC Vive headset, which I think in 2016 was, I think it was released in 2016. So they were cutting edge at the time. Each of the screens inside of the headset were OLED, means that they can have really dark darks, which I think works more convincingly in dimly lit environments. And they also had pretty good resolution for the time as well. So like the technology was promising. The headsets were, at the time, really good. They had some of the best tracking as well, so that you could, yeah. Yeah, so it used a technology called outside-in tracking, where they have the sensors on like the walls around the outside of the train, rather than the sensors being built into the headset. And that lets you track multiple people at the same time, so that you can then superimpose them within the 3D virtual world and have like a lifelike positioning. And again, that was pretty cutting edge for 2016 as well.
It did align you roughly where you were on the train. Here's some companies that I think, because they use so many different ones, it might have contributed to how expensive this ride was to make. So they've got SimWorks, which were the turnkey ride contractor, and they made the motion-based passenger train carriages with all the VR headsets. Did you know that the motion bases were capable of lifting 35 tons? Which explains why it didn't work when we were on it. Figment Productions created the VR content using Nokia.
Guys, do you know what else Figment... Sorry. Do you know who else Figment has made a ride for? It's Alton Towers. And it's Galactica. And Legoland. Yeah. They're a regular at Merlin, it would seem. Oh my gosh, and Black Mirror. They helped out with that one. And Warwick Castle, which of course it... What's that? Kraken as well, and Harry Potter. Oh my gosh, they've done so many things.
Ozo cameras. Do you know what that is?
I don't know what a Nokia Ozo camera is.
I'm going to put a picture up because I don't either.
This is just a news article, but looks like Nokia shut down its VR camera making for the Ozo camera. And it says because they don't see VR taking off anytime soon. Oh no, not even Nokia wanted to keep up with their special space cameras. Oh my gosh, loads of people lost their jobs. That isn't funny.
And then Seven Lamb.
Oh my gosh, Seven Lamb make people movers. That's so cute. I did not realise. The Trams International. Oh my gosh, so cute. And they got involved.
And Intamin, they designed the complex track system.
I don't remember there being a complex track system.
Transit system. Do you know how the train was floating in the middle of the thing?
No.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you then. It's mirrors. Oh my gosh. Over 1,000 specialists. Sorry for shouting. Over 1,000 specialists were contracted with
Run out of fingers.
to do this project. Which is crazy. There's so many people. Oh my gosh, I could have done this in the garden with Jack's little Oakley headset, whatever it is.
Oculus Quest.
Yeah. So we all love Merlin's marketing campaigns. They do some really silly stuff, but I didn't know that they did this for Derren Brown's Ghost Train. I was probably sheltered from it at the time. But they actually had 2 Victorian dolls that they left in like a London Underground station or something. And they had hidden cameras and filming people's reactions. Like, honestly, call him a mentalist, but I think he's a sadist. Derren Brown loves to spook people. But that had no tie to Thorpe Park, did it? He's just like, do you know what, this is going to really mess some people up who are just trying to have their nice commute to probably quite a stressful job. This is going to make it better. Terrifying dolls. But it gets worse. He loves this old Victorian theme, he says, which is why he did it. But then he, on April 16th of 2016, Derren Brown unleashed a demon, which actually was like, I guess, someone in a fursuit, like on a leash, being walked around in public by Derren Brown. And that creature is the one that's featured in the VR storyline. How would you feel if you saw Derren Brown walking a guy on a leash who was wearing like latex?
I'd probably suggest that he should keep those things behind closed doors. That's not something to be done in public.
If I saw that, I can't say my first thought would be, oh my gosh, I need to get myself to Thorpe Park. No. They even had this demon brought into Thorpe Park, and like Thorpe Park staff got spooked by it and seemed absolutely terrified.
Hello, I'm Derren Brown.
Pardon the quality, guys.
And we're just trying out some of the components of the new Ghost Train that opens soon. Hope you enjoy it.
Sorry about the quality, guys. Sorry, it's a bit blurry, isn't it? There's a star. Oh, that's me.
In 2016, Derren Brown's thing was meant to open in May, but it didn't open until later in the summer. And this apparently was because some of the illusions weren't working as they hoped they would. Oh no.
Oh, Derren.
But in July 8th, it officially opened. Yay. Whoa! Oh my gosh! Are you looking for some Christmas presents for your theme park enthusiast friends? Are you missing them, or are you glad that they're not around at the moment? Well, if you're thinking of them, maybe you can have a look at the Luweepoo website and you can find some theme park pins on there. There's bound to be something that you like or your friend likes. Oh, and there's a sale going on! Yeah, they better get it before it's over because they'll be fuming if they miss it. I'm just going to ask you guys something quickly. When you go to Thorpe Park, do you actually ever really want to go on this ride? Is it something you're like, I've ridden it once and I'm finished? Or you're like, I've never wanted to ride it? Or you're like, I absolutely love this ride, I'll go on it every time I go to Thorpe Park? I would love to know, because honestly for me it's a filler attraction and I just can't even ride it anymore. It's not fun. It's a waste of time, honestly. It's a waste of time. The queue is like excruciating to wait in.
Please could you remind me what the queue line's like?
A cattle pen.
A cattle pen themed after a train station?
Yeah, but it's a Victorian train station.
Gives you the Victorian commuter vibes.
And they had like hints at fracking or something going on.
The Victorian gas extraction commuter vibes. Was the fracking related to the demon theming by any chance?
I think you might be onto something there. I think that's what they were going for. The crack.
To reveal what's...
A big, dirty, stinking crack was opened in the London Underground, and that's why it stinks in there. Maybe it's onto something. The Kraken. The Kraken. Can we have a ride about the Kraken?
Kraken!
Even from the very beginning, the VR headsets were just very non-functional. More than half usually wouldn't work from the very beginning.
That makes sense.
That's bad, isn't it? Why are they so unreliable?
I guess they're just not designed to be taken on and off, on and off. But I don't know what the throughput of the ride is. Maybe you could put that on screen.
2.
I imagine they're the sort of devices that are designed to be worn at most once a day. If that.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, so you're right. It did have a massive effect on throughput. And like the immersion was just broken. When you walked in, you had all this suspense. You've just seen a train dangling in the middle of there, and then you've got like some Thorpe Park staff that, in fairness to them, I don't blame them. They're quite frustrated. They have to move you around, put your headset on, it's falling off. They've got to touch your heads and tighten the straps, and then someone goes, mine's not working. I can't see anything, it's blank. And then the ride has to start anyway, and people are missing the first bits, and then they're seeing people like jumping. It's so bad. It was so bad.
Could I talk for a moment on accelerated wear testing?
If it's interesting.
So when someone designs a product, they want to understand its lifespan, its longevity. So car manufacturers will do this. Most manufacturers will do this. And instead of putting a device on a shelf for 10 years and waiting to see if it lasts 10 years, they do something called accelerated wear testing, where they will try to put it through its paces really, really quickly. I wonder if HTC have published the expected lifespan of an HTC Vive headset, because my understanding was that it was targeted for consumer audiences where one person might be sitting in their living room putting it on to go and play some Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't know if it would be designed for hundreds of people to wear a day. Like the stress that must put on the elastic, the amount of grease that must get applied to the lenses. I don't think that a consumer product is necessarily designed for use in that environment, but maybe HTC did plan for that. But I think based on our experience, that's clear that wasn't the case. It'd be like trying to put a Wii remote inside of a Thorpe Park attraction and hoping it would last. You can cut all of it.
No, I'm just grossed out. Thank you for that explanation, Jack. I've done a little research into what the story was. Yeah, so the fracking opened up a crack, and then a demon was released, and actors, like the Thorpe Park staff, would touch your legs as the jump scares happened. You just showed your feet. As the jump scares happened, and then like one of the clever things was that as the train itself was moving, the VR thing would give you the illusion that you were as well. So that was somewhat immersive, unless your VR headset was shaking off your head because you've got a pea-sized head. I'm a pale pea.
Because you're wearing a green top.
And actually, I'm dressed like a pea. We're one pea in a pod.
What am I if I'm not a pea? Am I the pod?
So then when you got off the ride, or you took off the VR headset, you'd end up in a different location that looked a bit different, a bit more grimy. You'd have to run through the tubes, and sometimes there were live actors playing infected people by a mysterious gas. Oh, the fracking gas! The fracking crack. Oh, I actually get it now.
The fracking gas.
I never got that when I was on it. I just thought zombies. In their thighs and their buns and their mouths and their tongues in their bed and their leg, they are fighting. In their thighs and their buns and their mouths and their tongues in their bed and their leg, they are... Clearly I didn't get it. And the train system used like a traverser system, but what does that even mean, honestly? I'll put a video in. So the main criticisms were the unconvincing graphics, the lack of reliability in the headsets, the breaking of immersion, and did I say unconvincing graphics? Yeah. Apparently the ride promised 12 different journeys in 2 endings, but I don't know. So does that mean you'd have a different ride experience every time? I don't really know. It had a revamp in 2017 of Rise of the Demon, where they actually built an extension that apparently would enhance the visitor experience. Thorpe Park actually had a video that turned out to be a teaser for Derren Brown's Ghost Train's revamp that was meant to be a TV advert, like around Christmas time. But it was supposedly banned for being inappropriate for its time slot. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. But that did generate additional publicity for them. And the tagline for Rise of the Demon was it would be deeper, darker, and more intense than before. Don't really know if it was. The new route would have different scares and apparently tried to revamp it. I'm talking about this as if like this ride doesn't exist anymore. It does. Oh, I never noticed this. When you came out into the gift shop, there would be like a Ouija board and then the room would shake and then like a demon would pop out of a wall. I never noticed the Ouija board. Gosh, I wouldn't have gone on this ride had I seen that stuff. Which wasn't actually an effective scare because everyone thinks that you're in like the gift shop, and I think you do remember that bit, don't you?
I do remember that
And
bit.
I remember being like, tee-hee, when Jack was out, like, it's gonna happen. But oh my gosh, that's awful.
We wouldn't be going there now.
Apparently even the like fake train crash section that was in it, they had to remove that because of technical difficulties, and it was replaced by a short strobe maze section. So apparently they actually tested the new version on people, and they had like heart rate monitors on them. They went up to 145 BPM on some people, which I'm not being funny, but that's my heart rate getting out of bed. That's like, if someone beeps at me on the road, I'm up
Pretty
to
high.
I'm up to like 190.
Your little heart.
I'm quite a frantic, scatty mentalist. Ex-prison officer Matt Sproyet was one of the test subjects for this, and he said, "I'm used to dealing with terrifying situations, so I was never expecting the VR footage to scare me that much. When I took off the headset, I was physically shaking," Brown declared. Brown? Ew!
Maybe he's Derren Brown's mate.
Drown pants. We're making this bigger, better than... Oh, I meant to be Derren Brown. We're making this bigger, better, and scarier than last year. The changes and improvements that have taken place will scare the beep out of guests. Oh yeah, Derren, will they? Will they really? I actually do like you, Derren Brown. Will you let me back on one of your shows? Derren Brown's not going to watch this. Do you know how I know Derren Brown's not going to watch this?
He's not subscribed. You should subscribe to Luweepoo if you're watching this.
Do you know how I know Derren Brown's not going to watch this?
How do you know that Derren Brown's not going to watch this?
He didn't show up to the opening day. Just like David Walliams, who offered David Walliams World, didn't show up. Which I think like rubbed people the wrong way. It'll be there. Because like, hello? How big-headed do you have to be to not show up? Right, what could be so important that you miss a ride with your name on it?
Would you miss the Luweepoo ride opening?
No, imagine if I was just like, I don't know, I'm not really interested. Like £13 million. Like what, 1,000 experts have been contracted to do it. Why haven't you showed up? Oh, I'm sorry, Derren Brown, if you had something going on that was actually like a family affair or something. I'm very sorry.
Maybe he got a private opening.
Ew, a Brown private opening. You've had that today. But yeah, I was like, that's crazy, isn't it? How mean is that? I don't know. Again, I don't actually know what was going on in his life, but it did rub people the wrong way, and that includes me. I'm going to list off, finally, the main controversies and reason that this ride just wasn't a success, despite having a mentalist being the IP. There was like chronic technical issues, poor VR graphics quality and audio quality, a very confusing narrative, the opening delays frustrated people, there were really long wait times for a disappointing experience. Some people even said it wasn't scary enough, it was closed very often and still is. There was quite misleading marketing, and it was apparently a commercial failure.
Poor Derren Brown.
They say that the Park's divisional director hoped it would attract new people to Thorpe Park, or like draw people who wouldn't normally visit a theme park, which might explain their choice of Derren Brown. But that demographic expansion never realised, apparently. People were even comparing this to Nemesis Subterra, but I honestly think Nemesis Subterra does a better job. So did you know this, Wormy? Derren Brown has been removed from the Ghost Train. The Ghost Train's still there, but Derren Brown isn't there anymore.
What did he do?
Well, partially IP licensing expiration,
Thorpe Park didn't want to pay for him.
and apparently a mutual dissatisfaction of how the project had turned out. Can you imagine that conversation? Derren Brown be like, look, bit awkward.
Isn't that funny though? That Derren Brown is saddened by Merlin.
Even Derren Brown's been let down
Yeah,
by
the
Merlin
Ghost Train.
Browns.
Yeah, the Ghost
Round
Train.
about town.
That breakup, must have been. Don't be down, Derren Brown.
If you go on tidal wave, you'll Derren drown. So for your guys' information, theme park attractions that typically have like licensed names of celebrities often have a bit of a ticking time bomb effect where they run out. That's all it is. It doesn't explode. They never did explode. Are we being too harsh? I think it's quite balanced because, well, actually Jax just plays devil's advocate every time, like, we're at a theme park anyway, but I think he does share a lot of the same views as other guests who are part of the general public. But I'm an enthusiast and a Christian, so this kind of ride is not up my alley. But even before I was a Christian, I was like, I think I'd just do it as a filler. What about you? I think now I'd rather go on Roger's Bouncy Bottom Burp.
Oh, any day. It's such a fantastic ride.
There's my own... Careful, you're spilling tea everywhere. I'm spilling a tea. In my own personal opinion, VR is a bit of a gimmick. You know, you go to school, well, I don't, but you see like teachers using VR headsets for lessons and you think, well, it's a bit of a gimmick. You see like pilots being trained on VR, it's a gimmick. And then you see it in a theme park and you're like, it's not a bit out of date. And another reason I think that this was so bad was that there was a time when we were in a illness pandemic. Thorpe Park was open for a little while during it. And oh my gosh, the last thing you want is something that people have had their snotty noses on, soggy eyes, like breath, mouth, hands, disgusting. You don't want to put that on your face, do you? And they all had a smell of like BO. It was really, really grim. And I remember thinking like the gas that's turning people into zombies here feels almost a little bit on the nose for this massive like infection campaign that's going on Derren Brown's Ghost Train.
Is there any precedent for VR headsets not working at theme parks in other places of the world?
Like Barack Obama? What's a precedent?
Is there a precedent? Oh,
Well,
that's a good
what
check.
it means. I don't know what that word means.
Have there been other examples of theme parks in the world that have implemented like VR style flat rides and what have you and thingamabob, where it's just flopped because of the technology?
Yeah, do you know what else has flopped with VR? Galactica.
Oh.
Gimmicks are us. I miss you, Galactica. But it was so bad, wasn't it?
For what reasons?
For me, again, pea-sized head. So there was no way that I could like fit with that firmly on my skull. And when the vibrations of the ride, you don't realise how vibratey Galactica is until you have a VR headset attached to your body with a lot of mass on the end. So obviously physics, it's going to rattle a lot. Like when the first bit, when you come out the station and you're going through the crash mats and stuff, that was really good. It was very smooth. But then as soon as you're even on the lift hill, it's just shaking. You can't see anything. You could see the sunlight beaming in from under your cheeks, your face cheeks. And you think, oh my gosh, this is so not immersive. What on earth is going on? And weirdly, it didn't even feel like you were on a roller coaster. The thrill of a roller coaster was gone from it because it just felt like wind was blowing in your face. There's not enough G's on Galactica, apart from in its name, for you to notice that you're on a roller coaster.
So when did they get rid of the headsets?
Not long after it was on there. It was about a week after I met James Smiles. I think Galactica headsets were put on after Derren Brown's. Yeah, 2019 they took it off. They started to remove it in 2018, apart from the back few rows.
So what should rides be using instead of VR headsets in order to create that enhanced immersion? Because I guess you can create lots of immersion through theming, but the appeal of a VR headset is that you can be transported into a completely different world whilst on ride.
Thing is, you were already in a train carriage, so they didn't need to make that. It could have very easily been done with like lighting outside of the train carriage, and they already had it rattling and moving, so that was still like possible. I think they could have done what they do in Universal, where they have those like artificial moving things, and they could have even had someone in a big suit dressed up as a demon. It was basically a pit bull. Mr. Worldwide, you could have it traipse around the whole thing and jump scare the people. I think that would have been way more effective, and have some of the staff pretend to be visitors like they do in the VR video, so that they can, get dragged away by the creature. Mr. Worldwide, but they're actually just actors. I think they should have done that because it would have been cheaper, probably more immersive, really.
What about on roller coasters?
Roller coasters, no, we don't need VR. I think it's such a gimmick, unfortunately.
Is it either Universal or Disney where they have like partial indoor-outdoor coasters, something like that could work. Get rid of VR. Merlin, what are you doing with VR? Get rid of it.
I haven't even done the new Derren Brown ride. Oh, the Derrenless ride. Oh, I think we really should. Like, so I don't actually know if they've removed that or not, but I very much doubt it. But I'm going to stop the video here because it's very long.
We celebrate every single subscription. We celebrate every single like. We celebrate every single channel membership with just the most amazing joy. And you will not believe the smile that it puts on Luweepoo's face. So thank you, everyone.
And thank you guys for watching. You want to say anything?
Thanks, guys, for watching.